Let's talk about a big shift happening in real estate. Picture this. You've got a duplex in Elk Grove. The owner's living downstairs, and that upstairs unit is pulling in $1,400 a month in rent. Now, the person looking to buy this place, they're not just comparing it to other homes. No, they're doing the math to see if that rent check will cover half their mortgage. This is the house hacker, and they are completely changing the game for how we value property. This right here, this is the whole story. For this type of buyer, a property isn't just a place to live, it's an income-producing asset from day one. Their number one calculation isn't about the nice kitchen or the curb appeal. It's about cash flow. And that one simple shift in thinking, well, it changes absolutely everything about how a property needs to be priced. So this brings us to the big question, right? The one we're going to tackle in this explainer. How in the world do you price a property when your buyer's running a completely different set of numbers than your typical home buyer? To answer that, we've got to look at why the old methods are falling short. Let's talk about the major blind spot in the standard comparative market analysis, the CMA. You know how a standard CMA works, right? It's basically built on one idea, comparing a property to similar homes nearby that have sold recently. It's all about comparing apples to apples on things like bedrooms, bathrooms, and, of course, that all-important price per square foot. And this is what's so fascinating. This slide just lays it all out, the two totally different mindsets. On the left, you've got your traditional buyer, asking about updates and square footage. But the house hack buyer on the right, man, they are thinking like an investor. Will the rent cover my mortgage? What's the real income potential here? Is this thing FHA eligible? These are business questions, not just lifestyle questions. And there's an official term for this strategy, of course, house hacking. It's pretty simple. You live in one part of your property, you rent out the other part, and you use that rent money to help pay down your own mortgage. It's a powerful idea. So, here's the bottom line. If your valuation is only looking at residential comps and totally ignoring the income side of the equation, you are fundamentally missing what makes the property so valuable to this huge, growing group of buyers. All right, so let's get out of the theory and into the real world. We're going to dive into a case study from Sacramento, California, where this isn't just an idea, it is a serious market force. Okay, get ready for this number, 22%. That is a year-over-year increase in FHA-financed house hack purchases in the Sacramento market. This is not a small ripple, folks. It's a massive wave of buyers who are hitting the market with this exact strategy in mind. And who are they? Well, take a look at this. Over a third of all Sacramento buyers under the age of 35 are actively thinking about a house hack. This is literally the next generation of homeowners. And for them, financial strategy is just as important as finding a place they love. So when you put that 22% growth next to the fact that it's being driven by a huge chunk of the under 35 crowd, it becomes crystal clear. This is not some niche market. It is a major segment of the buying population, and you just can't afford to ignore it. Okay, so demand is way up, but what does that actually mean for the price tag? Let's translate all this demand into actual dollars and cents. And here it is, plain as day. In Sacramento's hottest neighborhoods, duplexes and triplexes, the classic house hack properties, are selling for a 6 to 10% premium over similar single-family homes. The market is literally pricing in the value of that rental income. And we can even zoom in on where this is happening. The premium is really popping in places like Elk Grove and Rancho Cordova. But we're seeing the exact same thing happening across the wider Sacramento area. Places like Citrus Heights and Folsom, too. So, what does this all mean? It means if the market is recognizing two different kinds of value, the value as a home and the value as an investment, then our analysis has to show both too. We need a whole new way to talk about a property's worth. And the solution is what you could call a dual value approach. It's actually a really clear 3-step process. First, you do the traditional thing, analyze the residential comps. Step 2, you analyze the property's income potential based on what it's currently renting for. And step 3, and this part is absolutely key, you present both of those values clearly, side by side. And why does this work so well? Because you're speaking directly to the two different people living inside every house hacker's head. You're giving them the residential value for the homeowner part of their brain, and you're giving them the income value for the investor part. They're answering all their questions at once. All right, let's bring it all home. Let's talk about what it actually takes to build this kind of dual analysis and close that information gap for these savvy buyers. Look, the days of a CMA just being a list of comps, those are over. A modern analysis needs to show the real complexity of these properties. It has to tell the whole story, not just part of it. And that means documenting all the nitty-gritty details that drive the income side of things: the unit setup, current rents, if there's a tenant, FHA eligibility, you name it. This is where modern tools are a game changer, allowing agents to use commentary to add these crucial income details right alongside the traditional analysis. It's all about making sure that full picture is captured. In the end, it really all comes back to this one simple idea. To really serve this market, your analysis absolutely has to present both the residential value and the income value. One without the other is an incomplete story. So I'll just leave you with this final question. For anyone out there pricing property in today's market, take a hard look at your analysis. Is it telling the whole story? Or for this powerful and growing group of buyers, is it really only telling half of it?